and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we're introducing the brand new Scalloped Box Card Pop-Up die, and I am so in love with this die. It is so cool, so let's go ahead and check it out. So before putting this whole die together, I wanted to show you how this works. So it folds completely flat and it fits into a standard A2 envelope, and then when you open it up, it explodes into this awesome, cool scene that you can decorate and have so much fun with. So now let's go over how to actually put this whole thing together. So the first thing you're going to do is die cut 2 panels using the main die. So I've cut that twice, and now I'm going to fold along the score lines that the die has created for me. So I'm just going to fold along any vertical lines. So those 2 of those in each panel, the one kind of semi-ish down the center, and then that little tab piece too. And I'm using my bone folder just to crease them so they have some nice sharp edges. Then I'm going to do the next fold right along the score line that the die created for me and just repeat the exact same thing, so I'll have 2 panels that look exactly alike. Now the next step is to adhere these 2 panels together. So I'm going to add some nice strong score tape to both of the tabs. So this tab first and then the other tab. So once again I have 2 identical pieces. And then I'm going to remove the backing on just one of those and line them up to create one long piece. So you'll see there I'll take the piece on the right and line it up with that adhesive tab there on the left, and it's now created one long piece. The next step you're going to do is flip the whole thing over, and you're going to remove the liner on that second tab. And the nice thing about this now is all you need to do is just fold that piece over and it's going to line up perfectly. And this has now created the actual box card. Next, I'm going to fold down 3 of the sides. So I'm going to fold down both of the short sides and then one of the wide sides. You want to leave the other wide side up nice and tall because that's going to be the background for your card. So you're going to have something that looks just like this. Now the next step is to die cut the insert pieces. So that's this long die with 2 little folded tabs at the end. And here I've die cut 2 of them, but you can die cut 1 to as many as you want, however many you can fit inside the box. So I'm folding along those score lines that the die created for me. And then once again, I'm going to take some tape and add it to those tabs. So I'm going to add it to all of the tabs of these little insert pieces, and then I can be ready to put them inside my box. I'm going to remove the liner tape off both sides of those tabs, and then I can insert this little piece here into the box card. And these little pieces are going to be what you end up decorating later. So I'm going to line that up right with the top edge of the box, and then just stick my finger in there to make sure that it adheres nice and well. And what you're going to do is make sure both sides line up. So I kind of like to look over the box and make sure they're lining up straight, and then you can see that you can fold the box shut and it's going to open with that insert piece inside. So now I'm just repeating the exact same thing, and I'm going to insert another piece. And as you can see, you could do 3, you could do 5, you can have a lot of fun with it and get really creative. So I'm just going to line that up and make sure it's nice and straight in my box. And once again, you're going to be able to fold it and then open it with those liner pieces ready to decorate. This box is already looking so cool. I just love how it explodes like that. It's so fun. So now this die comes with a bunch of little extra pieces that are all decorative. So one of the main things it comes with is all of these little stitched rectangles and squares. And these actually fit perfectly on all of the panels. So you could add just one on there, or you can cover all of the panels. And so I wanted to show you what these look like and how the box looks like covered completely in panels too. So as you can see, there's one size that works for the bottom part of the box, and then there's another size that works for the top part of the box. So here I'm going to go ahead and put those on all sides. And then I can work on the top part of the box, which are the 2 other sized squares and rectangles. So we're going to line those right up there. And you could use cute pattern papers or colored cardstock and have a lot of fun. I just wanted to show you nice and bold with the white and craft. So now the complete outside of this box is formed. So you can see all of that. And now you can actually decorate the interior part of it too. So you can see all of those decorated too. Now my trick for the back piece, that's to use the larger rectangle that's actually the die for the bottom piece. You'll see it's the one for the bottom piece, but I'm going to use it in the back. And this kind of creates a little sky or decorative area in the back, but it also covers it so that it keeps it nice and strong too, and really keeps that back panel standing up really, really well. So here it is folded and then exploded, and you can see how much fun you can have decorating either all of the panels or one of the panels. Now all of the rest of the dies in this set are to create a really adorable panel. So the first thing I'm working with there are the posts for the banner, and I'm putting adhesive on all of those posts, and that is the string of the banner. So I'm going to put the quote-unquote string piece behind one post and then sandwich it with another post. And then I'll repeat on the other side. So I'm going to take one post in the front, and then I'll put one post behind, and by sandwiching it, it really makes it nice and sturdy and gives some heft to this banner. And then next we have all of the little banner styles. So we have tiny ones and large ones, and both a pennant and kind of a flagged end. And so you're just going to fold along the score line that the die creates for you that's right in the middle. I'm going to add adhesive all into the inside of the banner, and then I'm going to hang it on the string and just close it shut, and the adhesive will glue it together. So you'll see I'm repeating there with the little triangle version, the kind of pennant version, and then now the larger little flagged end. And then now we've got a little teeny pennant too. And I love that you could mix and match these or just stick with one style and size. It's really up to you. And so I'm going to add a bunch of tape to the inside of that after I've folded it, hang it on the string, and then press it closed together to really make sure that it's nice and glued and that it will stay in place. And then there are these adorable little hearts and stars which you can use to decorate the banner too. Now it's time to start creating a card with this die. So if you're using pattern paper, you have to think about what you want on the outside of the box and what you want on the inside, the part that kind of opens up and explodes. In this case, I want the straight up and down to be on the outside and the diagonal to be in the explosion. So I'm going to make sure that my straight up and down paper is facing up when I run it through the die cut machine. And I'm going to die cut 2 panels and fold it just like we did before. So I am going to fold it along those score lines that the die created for me on all of the vertical lines. And I'm going to get that tab and then make sure I do the same on the other piece. Now here's a trick if you ever have trouble kind of lining these 2 pieces up, which I sometimes do. What you can do is actually flip the piece over and kind of sandwich them together like this. And I actually find myself having an easier job lining it up this way than trying to line it up in one long piece. So now my long piece has been created and I can finally close up my whole box. So I'm just going to add some adhesive to that tab, and then I can fold my piece right over and everything's going to line up perfectly. Now that the box has been formed, we can create the explosion part of it by folding down 3 of the tabs. So we're going to fold down both the short tabs and then one of the longer tabs, and we're going to leave the other one nice and straight in the back. Then we can start working on the tabs that are going to be inserted in the middle. So I've cut 3 of those tabs from that same pattern paper, and I'm going to go ahead and fold along the score lines that the die created for me, and then I can add some adhesive to all of those little tabs and start inserting them into my box. And so I'm going to decide kind of how close I want them to the edge and how far apart I want them from each other, and depending on how your design is going to look, you can kind of play around with all of those different depths within the box. I always like to close my box a little bit once I get those tabs in there and really push down to make sure that adhesive is stuck really well on those tabs. Now that all of those tabs in there, we can start decorating. So the first thing I'm going to work on is some grass. So I'm using the original grassy border die here to die cut some of that green plaid paper that's going to coordinate really well with the other rainbow plaid. And I'm going to cut 3 different grass pieces. And to make this really three-dimensional looking, I'm going to play with the heights of the grass. So in the back, I'm going to make the grass pretty tall, and then on the second one, shorter. And then all the way in the front, I'm going to make it super short. And by doing that, it's already giving a ton of dimension to this design. So now I'm going to start decorating with some adorable images from Elfie Selfie. And I'm going to start layering these into the box. And I kind of like to think of the different layers within the box almost as if I was using pop dots on a regular card. It really gives that extra added dimension to put things on layers that are closer to you and further away from you. I'm die cutting some panels using the stitch rectangles that are included in this die set, and I've cut from Mermaid cardstock one of the bigger rectangles to put it behind there to be my sky for my elephants. Then here with this smaller rectangle, I'm going to stamp in some Versamark ink, add some white heat embossing powder. I'm going to melt it with my heat gun, and this is going to give me a shiny bright white sentiment. I've added some foam dots there, and then I'm going to layer that right on to the card. So now I'm going to work on creating a banner. So I'm die cutting the posts and the string from some narwhal cardstock, and then I'm going to cut some banners from that same perfectly plaid paper, but this time from the 6x6 that kind of has the smaller design. I'm going to add adhesive to the back of all of those posts, and once again I'm going to sandwich that string between two posts. So I've got the string right in between those two, and that's really going to give it some nice sturdiness. So now I'm going to line up one post in front and one post in back. So now I'm going to add some adhesive to the bottom of the posts, and I'm going to insert it into my card in front of the grass but behind the little panel there, and by sandwiching it in between those two it's really going to make it sturdy. Then I'm going to start folding all of those little banners, and I'm going to add some adhesive to the inside of them and then layer it onto the die cut string and just kind of close them together so that adhesive really holds them in place. And you can see just how cute and beautiful that banner is, and it really adds so much to the card. And now the best part is to see this nice and closed. It's going to fit into an A2 envelope, and then it's going to explode into this awesome card. So there it's nice and closed, and then now it's going to explode into the card, which is so cool. I just love how awesome this is, and I love that you can mail it. It makes it so nice and easy to really surprise somebody. So I thought it would be fun to create another pop-up box with a kind of a cool twist to it. So we're going to repeat the same thing here. I'm going to cut some watercolor wishes paper down. We're going to trim two of those panels and fold along all the vertical lines, and then we're going to attach them together, forming a long piece. Now I'm going to show you a different way of attaching the panels this time. So this time I'm actually going to attach the panels with the box completely open. Then I can add some adhesive to all those other tabs and actually fold the whole box closed and press down, and it's actually going to pick them all up. And so this is kind of an alternative way to put those insert tabs into the box, but it works really well, and it's actually really nice and quick and easy. Then I can fold down my 3 tabs of the box, and it's ready to decorate. Now this time I really wanted it to look like things were floating in the air. So I've attached some plastic to a bunch of images. Now this isn't just plain acetate, this is thicker plastic, and what this actually is a takeout container just cut up. So the next time you get takeout, save your container and cut it up into little strips, because you can use them in these pop-up box cards to really add some extra dimension. So here I'm going to be decorating with a bunch of coral and different mermaids from Mermaid for You. And you can see I'm going to add in those plastic pieces, and it makes it look like things are either floating or flying in the air. And it's really an extra added dimension to these pop-up box cards. So you see I'm going to close it there to make sure that everything's fitting inside with the entire box closed. And then I'm going to keep layering pieces in front of and behind those panels. And by doing that, it's adding even more dimension to the card. So here I'm going to put a seaweed in front and then a seaweed behind. And you can see how cool that is looking with those little plastic strips in there. So start saving those takeout containers. Now here I'm adding just one last coral, and I've decorated with a little sentiment panel on the front, but now I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I've used my main die to cut another one of those little scalloped edges that's on those pieces that are kind of make the box explode. And what I've done now is I'm taking a stitch till side die, and I'm going to put that in my die cutting machine and cut that whole little hill. And the reason I've done all of this is so that I can decorate those panels in kind of a cool and different way. So I cut this from some Watercolor Wishes cardstock, but it was a little too bright. So I added a little antique linen distress ink to just dull it down a little bit. And now I can repeat the same process. I can die cut it using my die again, then cut it with a stitch till side, dull it down with a little bit of antique linen distress ink, and now I can layer those onto those panels, and they look like sandy hills that might be in the bottom of the ocean with the mermaids. So now I'm going to take those same coral pieces that I decorated with in the same colors and layer them behind my sandy hills. And I think this is creating such a cool look on this box. Now I like to use the back panel of this card to write my message. So I've die cut using the stitch rectangles included in the die set, 2 rectangles out of some purple Watercolor Wishes paper, and that's the perfect place to write your message where they can still display it without your message being in the way. Now I want to decorate the bottom of my box the same way that I decorated those kind of exploding edges. And so I've done the same thing. I've cut two panels again with the main part of the die, and then now I'm using my stitch till side border to cut a little sandy hill. I'm going to take my antique linen distress ink again and kind of dull that color down, and now I'm going to fold along all of those edges and adhere these pieces together to create one long piece. Now I don't want the piece going around the back because I don't want it to cover up where I'm going to write my message. So I'm just going to trim that back piece off, and then I can add some adhesive and layer it all along the bottom. And by cutting it from that main die, you know it's going to fit perfectly that way. So it's a really quick and easy way to do it. Now all I need to do is add some coral to these edges, and what I love about this is when you close it and you put it in the envelope and someone pulls it out, it's going to have some hints as to what might be on the inside of the box. And I think it just adds so much to it. It's a really fun way to decorate this box. And then here I wanted to show you how well it fits inside a standard size envelope. You can mail it with just normal postage. It's going to fit right in there. And then when the recipient gets it, they're going to pull it out. They're going to see that cute little scene or your pretty pattern paper, whatever you end up doing. And then it's going to explode into this awesome floating mermaid box. And I can't tell you how much fun these boxes are to make, and they're even more fun to open and close. I'll just sit here at my desk and open and close them sometimes because it's just so fun. It's so cool. And the more you open and close it before you send it to someone, the better it's going to explode. So I'm going to even keep playing with these one more and more before I send them to someone, because as you kind of play with it and really fold those edges, it's really going to explode really awesome when you open it out of the envelope. I cannot wait to see your scalloped box card pop up, so you have to share them with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!